So part of today was learning not only about how to manage your finances and manage your money, but then also how to negotiate for even more money or a better position or a better job and boost your career so that you can boost your finances. So Claire and I got together and we thought that this would be a good sort of two sides of the coin to help you, just a holistic approach to boosting your ability to save money, spend money, and live the life that you're wanting to live. So again, my name's Katherine Baker. I'm one of the co-founders here at Congress London. So it's great to see you all here. A lot of familiar faces. Again, a lot of new faces. So that's wonderful to see. And I am a corporate coach and trainer who speaks about soft skills such as negotiating, influencing, strategy, how to kind of get ahead and really get the career that you want, which will then pay you what you want or what you deserve. And what I'm finding more and more is that women aren't, well, we all know this, we're not going after exactly what we want. We're not getting paid exactly what we want, and therefore, and now we also know we're not investing money like we should be. So, lots of things to learn today. My first question for all of you is, how many of you actually really love to negotiate? Okay, just everyone look around right now. Okay, there's actually 5-ish, because there's some hands down here, kind of going up. Here's the issue. If you want to get the most out of your life, and if you want to get paid what you deserve to get paid, and if you want to be able to do everything that Claire just told us to do, you're going to have to learn how to do this. And for all of you that were kind of giggling just there and going, no, I don't really, no. About 8 years ago, I was you. I didn't like negotiating. I would much prefer it if somebody else would go along and like ask for my raise for me, or even better, what if your boss just kind of came to you and said, Katherine, you've been doing such a great job. Here's a 10% pay rise, and yeah, why don't you take another 10 days off holiday this year as well? I mean, I've been doing a good job. Don't I deserve that? Does that happen? No. Has anyone ever had that happen? Because I want to come work for whoever your boss was. That's the issue. It doesn't happen. And you have to learn how to do this, but we hate doing this. Here's the trick. If you learn the games, the rules to this game, if you learn how to negotiate, if you understand what the other side knows or what you know, and you learn how to play, it actually becomes really fun. And I love it now. Like, I just get little chills every time I win something. Like, I won. So, you have to learn how to play the game though. And when I was hating this game of negotiating, I would leave things on the table. My clients would get what they wanted. I'd be giving stuff away for free, and I'd walk home and I'd get really angry. I'd be like, how did that just happen? And I'd get angry at my family or my fiance, and he'd be like, don't get so angry. I'm like, but I've just given away my job. I'm working for free. And I wasn't angry at them. I was angry at me. Because they just negotiated better than me. They'd gotten what they wanted, and I had given it away. So the number one rule here is A, learn the rules. Learn how to negotiate. Learn what you need to do and learn what the other side is doing. So that's what I'm going to help you do. I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to take you through my rules of how to win at this game of negotiation. So rule number 1 is figure out what you want. One of the best ways to get ahead in life is something called self-actualization. It's knowing who you are. It's knowing your strengths, its weaknesses, it's knowing what you want to get out of life, it's knowing where you want to go in life. If you are going into a negotiation, or you're going in to get a new pay rise, or a better job, or going for that job in the first place, knowing who you are and what you can do is step number 1. But you got to take that further. It's also knowing what you want to get out of this. And I don't mean, oh, I just want that 5% pay rise. No, you want 15% pay rise and you want 10 days more holiday. Plus you want more projects to work on. And you'd like somebody that you're going to work for, that's going to work for you. So you want to grow a team and become a manager. Are you going to get all that?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, there we go, thank you. I mean, that's the attitude you want to go in with. It's unlikely you're going to get all of it, but you might get more than just that 5% that you were thinking of. So first of all, know what you want and think big picture. But also, know when you're willing to walk away. If you don't even get the 5%, are you still willing to stay there? If you don't get somebody that you're going to be managing, are you willing to stay? And you need to know in your heart, like, I'm not going to say it's positive or negative, but you need to know where you want to walk away. So rule number 1, know who you are, know what you want out of life, know what your stretch goals are, and know where you're going to say, that's not enough, I'm gone. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, knowledge is power, and never more true in a negotiation. Learn how to ask the right questions. And then learn how to listen to what people actually say to you. We are really bad at asking questions and listening for the response. I don't know where we lost this growing up, because as kids we're pretty good at asking questions and we're pretty good at listening. But as we grow up, we seem to think we know everything, or we get shy, or we get worried, and we don't want to ask questions. Learn how to ask questions. Ask follow-up questions. Listen actively to what somebody's saying. Listen to the tone of voice, the way they're saying it. Read between the lines. Does no mean no, or does no mean try harder? Understand what they're saying. Learn what questions to ask. So you don't want to just ask closed-ended questions where you don't get anything. You want to dig to people and say, come on, tell me things, learn things. You want to ask questions like, explain to me the problem you're having, or describe for me this new job role, or paint me a picture of what the company's going to look like in 10 years. Can anybody tell me what's interesting about those 3 questions?
They're open-ended.
Very open-ended, and they're not actually questions. They're statements where I'm inviting you to talk. When you're in a negotiation, you don't want to be talking. You want to be listening. You want to be hearing what the other side is telling you. And then you can find out what they want, and you mirror that with what you want, and then you get what you want. Learn how to ask questions. I recently was working in Poland, and I had a really, really bad Friday where suddenly I got kicked out of my hotel. I don't know what happened. For some reason the hotel booking got canceled, or I hadn't booked it correctly. I don't know. But I got kicked out of my hotel. I needed somewhere to stay that night. I called one of my favorite hotels and said, hey, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. I am homeless in Poland. Can you please help me out? I need somewhere to stay. And they're like, oh, yes, ma'am. We have the presidential suite available. That's not going to fit my training budget. So I was like, okay, what can we do? What can we do? Come on, you're a negotiator. Figure this out. I was like, hotels. It's 6 o'clock on like a Friday afternoon. You aren't going to fill that presidential suite. So I went to the woman on the phone. I was like, okay, why don't you go ask what you can do for me here, because it is 6 o'clock and it's very unlikely you're going to fill it this time, and let me know, if there's a certain deal that you can get out of this. She came back and offered it 50% off. Winning! It was a really great suite. I was looking at that work trip. That was amazing. The only reason I was able to do that is A, I asked for something. So step number 1 is ask for stuff. And B, I understood the hotel industry enough to know they'd rather have somebody in it than not in it. And at that time of night, I had some power. So knowledge is power. When you go negotiate for a new job or a new salary, find out what your boss needs and find out how much money he might have to be able to afford it. So ask questions and learn stuff. All right, number 3, issue trading. If you go in to negotiate just for that 10% pay rise, so just for money, and you're just going back and forth over one item, this is when you get stalemates. This is when people don't come to a conclusion or don't come to an agreement, because you're only going back and forth over one thing. This is, again, thinking bigger picture. So think about all the other things that you can negotiate. You can negotiate paid time off. You can negotiate if you're becoming a manager. You can negotiate the projects you're working on. You can negotiate your salary. What other things? Anybody else? Any other things you could negotiate?
Training.
Yeah, if you get training or if you get a coach, for example. So what are they going to give you? There's many things that you can negotiate on. And then you find out what you care about the most. So what's your sticking point that you are going to stick to? So if it really is that salary, then maybe you got to give on something else to be able to get that. Example, I'll take it a little bit away from work. My sister just got married. And it was a wonderful time. And I wanted, as her big sister, to give her a beautiful piece of jewelry to remember the fact that I still existed and she wasn't moving on to just a bigger family and I was alive. So I went out and designed this amazing piece of jewelry. I went to the jeweler and said, yes, please make this. He came back with a price and I was like, okay, we're going to have to work on that because I can't do that. And this is when we start to issue trade. I could negotiate with him on the amount of time it was going to take. I wanted it in a month. He said, if you give me 6 months, I can bring down the price because I can work in it around other clients. I negotiated on the type of stones. If I took a few stones off and put metal in those places, it would bring down the price. So in the end, 2 issues there: price, quality, redesigned it a bit, and I still got the piece of jewelry for the price that I could afford. So think of the different things you can trade when you go into that negotiation and stick to the ones that you want. Bring up other ones as well. So think, oh, I don't really care about this one, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. So the other side is like, oh, we got those things. It's like, yeah, I did. Now I can have my salary. Think about the different things you can trade. Don't just go in there with one thing you're talking about. Know your strategy. This is all about being prepared. The more you understand about the people that you're going to be talking to, the more successful you might be. Is that person the decision maker? Is that person an influencer? Is that person the person that's really, at the end of the day, going to have your career in your future? Or is it somebody that's supporting that person? If you go in and you talk to somebody, for example, who's an influencer, and you're saying, this is what I want, they're going to go back to the decision maker, and the decision maker is going to be like, okay, bring that down 5%, and then we'll offer it to them. They're always going to come back unless you're talking to the decision maker. So whenever you can, talk to the decision maker. If you're talking to an influencer, just keep a little bit in your back pocket. Basically start even higher with what you're asking for, because it's going to come down. But you also need to know how much you care about the relationship. I was very lucky over the last 8 years I lived in Singapore. They negotiate everything in Singapore. Everything, from food to taxis to your clothes. I mean, you can go into Zara and negotiate. It's amazing. So you can negotiate anything there. But there's many times when I didn't care about the relationship versus cared about the relationship. If I was with a food vendor like on the street, I didn't really care. Well, I might care about the quality of the food, but I didn't care about our relationship if I was negotiating. Whereas if it's your boss, you might care about your relationship. So if it's somebody that's important, then maybe take the time to build up that relationship, build up the trust, build up the understanding, let them know what you're asking for and what you're going after, so that when you get to this negotiating part and the strategy part, then you can be a bit tougher. Then you can be a bit stronger, but you've got a strong, trusting relationship. If you're tougher and stronger without that trust, you can hurt the relationship. So think about the relationship versus the outcome and what is more important at this stage of a negotiation, because a negotiation can last. I mean, it can be years. I'm hoping that it's not going to take years, but negotiations can go on forever. I mean, we're in Brexit. There we go. Okay. Tip number 5, or rule number 5, is something called your BATNA. Your BATNA is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This does not mean that if you want a 10% pay increase, then you're happy with 5. That is not what this is. This is if you want a 10% pay increase and there's no negotiated agreement, nobody agrees on this, then what are you going to do if there's no negotiation agreement? So back to the jewelry for my sister, for example. If I went back and said, can't pay for this, too expensive, and he said, well, there's nothing I can do, he's not going to make the piece of jewelry. I no longer have a piece of jewelry. Then I need a BATNA. So my BATNA in that example would be having a piece of jewelry I already owned that I would give her instead. So this is what happens if the negotiation falls apart. So Brexit, for example, the no-deal Brexit is our BATNA. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be bad, I'm just trying to explain what this is. It's a situation that happens when the deal falls apart. The stronger your BATNA, the more confidence you're going to have going in. So if you're going in for that negotiated pay rise, and you already have a job that's going to pay you 15% more and give you everything you want, you've got a very strong BATNA. Because if that company doesn't give you what you want, you can just walk away and go join the other company. So that's a BATNA, when the thing falls apart. If you don't have a strong one, find one. Think about it, figure it out. The stronger this is, the more confidence you're going to have, because you don't need it to work. Number 6, confidence. When you negotiate, it's all about perceived confidence. It doesn't have to be real. The other side doesn't know what they don't know. They don't know what your timing is, they don't know what your budget is, they don't know anything until you tell them, which is back to the whole knowledge is power situation. So if they don't know that you're quaking in your boots and completely freaked out and about to run out of the room, that's fine, even if you are. It's perceived confidence. How many people have heard of Amy Purdy's power posing? Amy Cuddy. How many people have done power posing? Okay, very successful woman right here, follow her lead. Power posing. If you haven't done power posing is when you stand like this. Yeah? And you put your head up and you do the superwoman pose. There's a couple of other poses you can do where you kind of cross your leg and sit down and sort of sit like that. I prefer this one. I feel like very strong and powerful. When you watch her TED Talk, it's a great TED Talk. When you do these power poses, she says do them for 3 minutes. I do them for 5 minutes. The first minute I feel ridiculous, so I don't feel like it's doing anything. The next 2 minutes, I then start to do that positive self-talk of, you got this, you're amazing, you can do this, looking into a mirror type idea. And then by like minute 4, minute 5, I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, no, I got this. And then I start thinking about all the things that I'm going to negotiate on. So I always do power posing before negotiation. And you get your things straight, you're like, that's my reach goal, that's where I'm walking away from, and these are the reasons why I deserve this. Amazingly, what happens when you power pose is your testosterone levels increase. We want testosterone levels in this. We want to come across as powerful and insecure and I've got this, like our yeah, the background. That's how we want to feel. What also happens is your cortisone levels, which are your stress levels, they decrease. So you know when you're stressed and you kind of get a backache or you flush, you get a headache, that's when your stress in your body it's affecting your body. Well, what Amy's found out is that actually if you stand in a powerful position, that can affect your hormones. So you actually come out of power posing feeling more confident and less stressed. And you've done a little recap in your head of what the hell you're going to talk about in a few minutes. Power pose to get confident even if it's perceived. Now all of these tips work together, but it takes practice. I'm not going to say after me 10 minutes of talking and you've seen these 6 tips, you're going to walk into your next negotiation, you're going to smash it out of the park and get everything you want. You might, but the best way to do this is to now go out there and practice. Practice in places that just don't matter. Has anybody been on Gumtree, for example? Any on Gumtree? Yeah? Okay, all of you that didn't raise your hand, this is your week homework. Between now and next Tuesday, I want you to find a pair of shoes, or a handbag you don't want, or a couch that's a really ugly shade of green, which I did. Anything you can find, I want you to put it up on Gumtree, and I want you to try to sell it. And I want you to negotiate for whatever price you think it's worth. Or go on Gumtree and buy something. And negotiate it down to whatever you think you can get the lowest amount for it. Use these things. So Monopoly, anyone remember playing Monopoly as a kid? You negotiate for things, keep playing. Spock is another area that you can do this in. It's like Gumtree. I prefer Gumtree. This is a great tool in London. Get out there and just negotiate. In Asia, again, I said I negotiated all the time. And that's what finally broke my fear of negotiating, was because I had to do it. So now challenge yourselves. I've redecorated my entire apartment like 3 times on Gumtree. And it's gotten so fun, it's really fun, I'm loving this. It's gotten so fun that I actually started buying couches and I use them for 6 months and I enjoy them and then I sell them for more than I actually bought them for. And that's like the game, it's like, can I do this? And then I do, and then I spend it on champagne and celebrate, so it's lots of fun. So get on Gumtree and start practicing. The other one, travel and hotels. Have you ever gone into a hotel and just asked for an upgrade?
Yeah.
Yeah? What happened?
We normally get it.
I know, isn't that amazing? You ask for an upgrade and you normally get it. So just start asking for stuff. Sometimes people will laugh at you and be like, you're ridiculous, I'm never going to do that. I made the mistake of trying to negotiate in Zara in New York City. Did not work. They thought I was crazy. And I was like, okay, this continent's not going to let me do that. So you just find out where it works and where it doesn't. When I'm talking about your strategies and I'm talking about your personality, you need to find out what works for you. Are you a hard negotiator? Does that get it through to you? Or are you more soft and kind? When I negotiate, I'm quite tough. When my fiance Will negotiates, he's actually a lot kinder and softer and smiles a lot more. He usually sort of says, Catherine, be nice, no, get what I want. So learn your style, learn who you are, and you can only learn how far to push and how much to protect the relationship and how much you can actually ask for and get by practicing. So next time you go to a hotel, see if you can get an upgrade. Treat it as a game. Next time you go home and you go, oh, you really don't like that bag, I really don't want it anymore, then sell it on Gumtree and see how much you can get from it. That's your homework. I don't really usually give homework, Congress, but now you have homework. All right. Those are my tips for you guys. As I mentioned, I am a corporate trainer and a coach. I've done a few talks for Congress, so if you ever have any other questions about influencing or negotiating or how to get what you want out of your careers, I'm here for Congress, so please do get in touch, ask me, and I'm very happy to help you out. I think we're running a little on time.
That's fine.
We're on time? Okay. We have a couple of minutes before you can network and enjoy everybody else. Does anyone have some burning questions that they'd like to ask about negotiating?